A Brief History of the United States, 1492-1930. Join me as we embark on a captivating journey through U.S. history, spanning from the discovery of the Americas to the early 1900s. In the next 15 minutes, we will highlight pivotal moments that sculpted the United States into the mighty nation it is today. Let's start our tale in 1492, when European explorers first ventured into the New World. The discovery of America, 1492. In 1492, Christopher Columbus, an Italian sailing under the Spanish flag, aimed to find a route to Asia. Instead, he made landfall on a Caribbean island, marking the first enduring connection between Europe and the Americas. Columbus may not have reached mainland North America, but his journeys ignited centuries of exploration, colonization, and cultural interchange that reshaped the globe. This adventure heralded the onset of European dominance in the Western Hemisphere. The first English colonies, Jamestown, 1607. Fast forward to 1607, just over 100 years later. The English established Jamestown in Virginia, the first lasting English settlement in North America. The early days were fraught with hardship. Settlers battled disease, hunger, and clashes with indigenous peoples. The introduction of tobacco farming sparked economic growth and enticed more settlers. In time, Jamestown became a prototype for future colonies, sowing the seeds for an expanding English presence in North America. The 13 colonies and British pressure. By the 18th century, there were 13 unique English colonies along the Atlantic coast. Each developed its own governance, economy, and identity. Yet tensions grew as Britain enforced new taxes and trade restrictions to settle war debts, exemplified by the Stamp Act of 1765 and the Tea Act of 1773. Colonists expressed disdain for these actions, insisting they were taxed without representation in Parliament. Protests like the Boston Tea Party embodied their burgeoning resistance, laying groundwork for independence. The War of 1812. In 1812, the United States found itself at war with Britain once more, known as the War of 1812. The conflict arose from British limitations on American trade and the impressment of American sailors. Though the war concluded in a stalemate, it ignited a spirit of American nationalism, reinforcing the nation's independence from Britain. This era marked the dawn of a distinct American identity. The War of Independence, 1775-1783. In 1775, armed conflict erupted, starting with the battles of Lexington and Concord. The American colonies soon plunged into a battle against British dominance. On July 4, 1776, the colonies declared their independence. With crucial military and financial aid from France, General George Washington led the Continental Army to victory. The pivotal triumph at Yorktown in 1781 effectively concluded the conflict. In 1783, the Treaty of Paris officially recognized the United States as a sovereign nation. The Declaration of Independence, 1776, primarily authored by Thomas Jefferson, the Declaration of Independence not only justified the separation from Britain, but also introduced the revolutionary notion that all men are created equal. It proclaimed inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This document remains one of the most significant human rights declarations in history. The U.S. Constitution and Founding, 1787-1789. Following independence, the fledgling nation needed to build a stable government. The initial effort under the Articles of Confederation proved ineffective. In 1787, delegates gathered in Philadelphia to draft the U.S. Constitution, creating a robust federal system with checks and balances among three branches of government. Shortly thereafter, the Bill of Rights was incorporated to protect individual liberties. In 1789, George Washington became the inaugural president, marking the birth of modern U.S. governance. The Monroe Doctrine, 1823. In 1823, President James Monroe proclaimed the Monroe Doctrine, asserting that the United States would reject any further European colonization or meddling in the Americas. This moment defined U.S. foreign policy, revealing America's growing authority in the Western Hemisphere and cementing its status as a major power in the region. Westward expansion, manifest destiny. Throughout the 19th century, Americans embraced the belief that it was their destiny to expand westward to the Pacific Ocean, known as manifest destiny. The 1803 Louisiana Purchase doubled the nation's size. Later, the annexation of Texas, the Oregon Territory, and lands acquired from Mexico, like California, further broadened U.S. territory. This era brought pioneers, railroads, and new states, reshaping the nation's landscape and economy. The purchase of Alaska, 1867. In 1867, the United States acquired Alaska from Russia for $7.2 million. At the time, many dismissed the deal as Seward's Folly, named after Secretary of State William H. Seward, who brokered the acquisition. They believed the desolate land had little worth. Yet over the years, Alaska proved to be rich in resources like gold and oil. This purchase significantly enhanced U.S. territory and its strategic position in the North Pacific. Conflicts with Native Americans as settlers pushed westward. Native American tribes faced displacement through treaties, warfare, and forced migrations. The Indian Removal Act of 1830 led to the notorious Trail of Tears, displacing thousands of Cherokee and other tribes, many of whom perished on the journey. By the late 1800s, resistance from Native Americans was largely quelled, relegating most tribes to reservations and ravaging their cultures and populations. Slavery and the Civil War, 1861-1865. Slavery stands as one of America's most divisive issues. The Southern economy heavily relied on enslaved African Americans, while the North increasingly opposed slavery's expansion. The 1860 election of Abraham Lincoln prompted 11 Southern states to secede, forming the Confederacy. The Civil War ignited in 1861, stretching over 4 harrowing years. More than 600,000 Americans lost their lives, making it the deadliest conflict in U.S. history. The Union's triumph in 1865 preserved the nation and abolished slavery with the 13th Amendment. Reconstruction, 1865-1877. After the Civil War, the U.S. faced the monumental challenge of rebuilding the South and integrating millions of formerly enslaved African Americans. The 14th and 15th Amendments granted citizenship and voting rights to Black Americans. Yet enforcing equality faced fierce opposition. By 1877, federal troops withdrew from the South, leading to the imposition of Jim Crow laws that stripped African Americans of many rights, ushering in an era of racial segregation. Industrial revolution and urbanization from the late 1800s onward, the United States experienced rapid industrialization. Innovations such as railroads, telegraphs, and factories revolutionized the economy. Giants in steel, oil, and railroads emerged, and tycoons like Andrew Carnegie and John D. Rockefeller amassed tremendous wealth. Millions migrated from rural farms to cities seeking work, giving rise to urban centers like New York, Chicago, and Pittsburgh. Labor movements advocating for better wages and working conditions also gained momentum. Immigration waves and social change. During this transformative period, America saw waves of immigration. Between 1870 and 1920, over 25 million individuals arrived from Europe and Asia. These immigrants fueled industrial growth while enriching the cultural fabric of American society. Facing harsh conditions and discrimination, they persevered, leaving an indelible mark on America's identity. Ethnic enclaves like Little Italy and Chinatown became vibrant community staples in many cities. World War I and U.S. involvement, 1917. Initially, the U.S. adopted a stance of neutrality when World War I erupted in 1914. However, factors like Germany's unrestricted submarine warfare and the Zimmermann Telegram, where Germany sought an alliance with Mexico, shifted American opinion. By 1917, the U.S. joined the war on the side of the Allies, playing a crucial role in turning the conflict's tide, resulting in the 1918 conclusion. President Woodrow Wilson later suggested founding the League of Nations to promote peace, but the U.S. ultimately refrained from joining. The 1920s. Prosperity, culture, and prohibition. The 1920s, often labeled the Roaring Twenties, blossomed with economic growth and cultural shifts. Innovations like automobiles, radios, and household gadgets became commonplace. Jazz, Hollywood films, and flapper fashion represented a revolution against traditional norms. Yet this era also had contradictions. Prohibition, initiated in 1920, banned alcohol and gave rise to speakeasies and organized crime. Simultaneously, financial speculation and growing inequality revealed undercurrents of vulnerability in the booming economy. The Great Depression begins, 1929. In October 1929, the stock market crashed, plunging the nation into the Great Depression, the most severe economic crisis in U.S. history. Banks collapsed, businesses shuttered, and unemployment skyrocketed. By the early 1930s, millions faced dire poverty and hardship, foreshadowing significant social and political transformations to come. Conclusion. As we've explored, the tale of the United States from 1492 to 1930 intertwines exploration, conflict, and transformation. From fledgling colonies to an industrial power, the nation faced immense challenges, particularly around liberty, equality, and justice. These foundational experiences helped shape American society and its global role. Thank you for joining me, and I hope this journey has provided you with a clearer understanding of the forces that molded modern America.